and the wonderful story of Sri Ajamila, along with the Hamsaguhya prayers. That's what we will be discussing today from the 6th canto. Before that, we will we'll glorify the Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavati Ruttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Aradhya Bhagavan Vrajesha Tanayas Tadhama Vrindavanam Ramya Kachidupasana Vrajavadhu Vargena Vakalpita Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanamamalam Prema Pumartho Mahan Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhor Matamidam Tatradharana Para. Hare Krishna, everyone. Today, as we said, we will start the 6th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. We have so far completed the 5 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam, and we ended with the description of the lower planetary systems and the description of the hellish planets. And yesterday was a very lively session with so many questions which were so relevant to our spiritual life about the hellish planets. And today, after Shukadev Goswami scares us with these hellish planets, today he gives us a lot to think about, a lot of a way out where we don't have to ever visit those hellish planets. And that's what we will discuss today on Ajamila. So before that, we will like to congratulate the devotees who participated in the quiz yesterday on YouTube. Indulata Mataji, Hare Krishna Madali, Vrindavani Mataji, and Shweta Mataji. Thank you for participating on YouTube. On Facebook, Barsana Chitra Mataji, Shweta Suryanarayanan Mataji, Meena Mataji, Swati Mataji, and Ranjani Gopika Mataji. Thank you very much for participating in the quiz, and look forward for more questions today. This is Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, which is grouped into multiple pastimes, where chapters 1 to 3 is on the deliverance of Ajamila, and then 4 to 6 is about the descendants of Daksha. There is a story, beautiful story of King Vritrasura from chapters 7 to 13, Maharaj Chitraketu 14 to 17, and 18 to 19 is the Pumsavana Vrata. So several pastimes. This is all about pastimes. 5th canto was about creation and all the different planetary systems. Here, it's all pastimes. All right, so before we start, we'll take blessings from the previous acharyas. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this chapter, chapter 1 of Canto 6, is the history of the life of Ajamila. Maharaj Parikshit, he summarized that which we had already heard from Shukadeva Goswami. And Maharaj Parikshit said, look, in Canto 2, you talked about the Nivritti Marg. Canto 3, you taught me about Pravritti Marg. Of course, he doesn't say Canto 2, Canto 3, but he said, so far, you've talked about the Nivritti Marg, the Pravritti Marg, which means Nivritti Marg is the way of the monks, renunciation. Pravritti Marg is devotional service while engaging. And then you have described all these varieties of hells in Canto 5. You talked about the first Manavantara in Canto 3 and the characteristics of the descendants of Maharaj Priyavrata and Maharaj Uttanapad in Canto 4, Priyavrata in Canto 5. And so in Canto 6, he's summarizing as it starts. In the first 6 verses, verse 1 to verse 6, he talks about all this summary. And then he said, but there is one thing that I want to clarify. You talked about all these hellish planets. How can a living entity be saved from entering and suffering within hell? It's so... yesterday, we saw so many of you asking questions. Oh, there are so much description of the hellish planets. Is there the same amount of description of the heavenly planets? Why is it so depressing? And Maharaj Parikshit heard all of your suggestions. And he's asking today, because as we are describing Srimad Bhagavatam, it actually happens in the sound vibration. It appears right then. So Shukadeva Goswami is actually asking, how can a living entity be saved from entering this hellish planets? So Shukadeva Goswami said, well, if you do not want to enter into hell, cast into hell, then you must atone, prayashchitta, paschatap, before the death for the sin that one has committed within this life. And Maharaj Parikshit said, all that's okay, but I commit sins, then I do atonement for it, I do prayashchitta for it, then again I commit sins, again I have to do prayashchitta. The whole life I'll just be doing prayashchitta. I don't like this kind of life. And what's the point? It's like kunjara shauchavat, which means the bathing of an elephant. An elephant, when it feels a lot of heat, it goes inside the water and bathes inside the water with its trunk. It bathes with the water. And then when it comes out, all the flies and everyone come on top of him. So he takes dust and pours on him. So this is called elephant bathing. He just took bath and then he again soiled himself again. Again, he would go for taking bath. Again, he would soil himself. So I don't want to lead a life of bathing like a elephant. I want to lead a life like a swan, very pure. And so Shukadev Goswami appreciated this. All this happened in verses 7 to 10. And then Shukadev Goswami agrees. He said, yes, you're right. I will describe to you a process of liberation through the cultivation of knowledge. And he explains from 11 to 14 about knowledge. But then he says, you know what? Just knowledge alone is imperfect still, because it removes your sin. Instead of atonement, you can actually cultivate knowledge. That might be good for you, but it will not remove the tendency to perform sin. And Maharaj Parikshit was after that. He's after the essence, that what can I do that not only that I not perform sin, but the root desire for sin also goes away. That is what Maharaj Parikshit was after. Shukadev Goswami says, yes, you can cultivate knowledge, but you could also do devotional service. Pure devotional service is so potent. He says, verses 15 to 20 glorifies pure devotional service, that it's able to completely remove all the effects of sins. He said devotional service means you dedicate yourself to the service of the lotus feet of Krishna. It's the true method of atonement. Real atonement is not just atonement of the temporary sins that we have committed just maybe one day ago, 1 month ago, a lifetime ago. No. What about the sin that we have committed of lifetimes ago, when we chose to leave the spiritual world, the association of Krishna, and we wanted to enjoy independently? That's the root cause of sin. How can we eradicate that? How can we atone for that? That is real atonement. If we atone for that original sin, then everything can be accomplished. All sins can go away. And that can be accomplished by pure devotional service. He said, you don't believe me? I will tell you a history between the conversations of Yamadutas and Vishnudutas. You were asking me, how can we get rid of the hellish planets, of entering and suffering into hellish planets? I'll tell you a conversation between those who take the soul to the hellish planets and those who rescued, the Yamadutas and the Vishnudutas. And at the end of chapter 3, Shukadev Goswami will explain how he had heard this story of Ajamila from Agastya Rishi in the Malaya hills. So Shukadev Goswami has heard Srimad Bhagavatam from Vyasadev, from Agastya Muni. He also explains from 4 Kumaras, so many different places, 4 or 5 people. Later on, we'll see that he's also heard from Narada, Asita, Devala, all these sages. Whatever he has heard, acquired from all these sages, he's repeating that to Maharaj Parikshit. So he said, Ajamil, he was a young Brahmana in Kanyakubja. Kanyakubja is actually a city which is modern day Kannauj, which is in UP. In UP, and so this is Kanyakubja. Ajamil stayed there. He was very much attracted to a prostitute. And he saw that one man was enjoying with this prostitute. He was a wonderful Brahmana, but he completely was enamored, so much enamored, that he gave up his Brahminical life. He employed her as his maid, and then he eventually married her. And he maintained himself through sinful activities until 84th year of his life. He had 10 sons, and as he was dying, this is told in very short, he thought of his most beloved son, the youngest son. His name was Narayan. And as he was dying, three distorted creatures, they stood over Ajamil with all their ropes to bind the soul and drag him to the hellish planets. Ajamil was really, really scared. In his helpless situation, he cried out, Narayan, Narayan. He was calling out to his youngest son. And as he cried out, two effulgent personalities came. They were Vishnu Dutas. Two Vishnu Dutas versus three Yamadutas. Because they heard that Ajamil offenselessly called out the name of their master, Narayan. Vishnu Dutas told Yamadutas, you know what, you cannot take Ajamila. There is another history, there is another pastime which says that one time one of the Loma Rishi, he actually named the son of Ajamil as Narayan in reciprocation to his his disease being taken care of. But anyway, in this way, that's how the association of a devotee actually helped Ajamil at the end of his life, and Vishnu Dutas came. And the most important thing, the reason Vishnu Dutas came is because he cried out offenselessly, without offenses. Now, Ajamil didn't know what are the 10 offenses to the holy names. He wasn't like, okay, first all these 10 offenses that we have. He did not memorize them. He did not even know about them. How can he offenselessly chant them? Because he chanted helplessly. He found there is no hope for me. At the time of the greatest need, when we are hopeless, we call out to the person we are most closest to. Automatically, our mind goes there. And if throughout our life we have cultivated Krishna as our most beloved person, then at the time of death we will naturally call out to Krishna. Ajamil called out to his son Narayan. But because he was Narayan and he called out helplessly, that's why it was without any motive. That's why it was offenseless chanting. And Vishnu Dutas came to save him. And we'll see all the different types of ways that we chant. And what was the type of way that Ajamil chanted? Vishnu Dutas came, but he did not go back home, back to Godhead, because it was not Shuddha Naam. And we'll understand all of that. These Vishnu Dutas, they stopped Yamadutas from taking Ajamila. Yamadutas, they were awestruck by these great effulgent personalities. These Yamadutas could not stop themselves from glorifying the beauty of Vishnu Dutas. And they inquired, you're so beautiful, you're so wonderful, in verses 21 to 36. But why are you stopping us from our own duty? Don't you know we are the messengers of Yamaraj? He's God. For Yamadutas, there is no one other than Yamaraj, except there is some Narayan and but everyone follows Yamaraj. That's what their thing was. So then later, Shukadev Goswami, he relates the reply of the Vishnu Dutas when Yamadutas asked, why are you stopping us from my duty? Vishnu Dutas said, well, we'll ask you a question in response to your question. They asked 3 questions. Vishnu Dutas asked 3 questions to Yamadutas. First, tell us, what is the meaning of religious principles and the symptoms of irreligion? This Yamadutas have to answer. Vishnu Dutas asked the second question, what is the process of punishing others? And then they asked, who among the non-devotees are liable for punishment? This is in verses 38 and 39. 3 questions that Vishnudutas asked Yamadutas. Yamadutas said, yeah, this is simple. These are basic questions. Why are you testing us? All right, here you go. Yamadutas described, religion are those acts that are there in the Vedas. Okay, these Vedas are eternal and they come from the cause of all causes, who is Lord Narayan. We have never seen him. We only know Yamaraj. But irreligion is anything that is not prescribed in the Vedas. You know what? We witness all these activities, and those whose acts they differ from Vedic prescription, they are liable for punishment. And living entities who try to enjoy, that's what we've come for. They must be active. So anything that they do within the modes of nature, gotcha, they are caught. And more or less every act is punishable that they do in this material world. Some are more punishable, some are less punishable. So we have our jobs cut out eternally, because whatever they do, they are going to get caught in the 3 modes of material nature. They've come here for enjoyment. The Paramatma, he observes all these activities of the living entity and he decides the punishment, and Yamaraj and Yamadutas execute that punishment based on the law of nature. And he says, we can actually see from what a person is doing currently, we can tell him what his future life will be. We can also tell what his past lives are. Just like, and there's no science to it. There's no magic to it. Just like weather forecast, it is described. They explained that just like by knowing the nature of current spring, we can actually find out what the future spring is going to be and what the past spring was. Just like weather forecast. We see the scientists look at the current weather conditions and they say, whoa, look, a month from now, this is going to happen. A cyclone is going to hit. So brace yourself. And they can also figure out what happened earlier based on the conditions today. Similarly, based on the way a person is acting today, great sages and saints, saintly persons who are pure in heart can very objectively, out of compassion, tell that person, this was your past life, this is what you're going to be in future life, unless you change the course of your activities. The living entities, they said, they do not perceive how they are trapped within this subtle body and how they have all these desires which are carrying them to the next cross body, because everyone is forced to act according to their natural tendencies. So if while in human form of life, they are taught how to associate with the Lord, how to associate with the devotees of the Lord, then there is some hope. Otherwise, there is no hope. Everything is predestined. We know who's going to do what, when, where, how, and they exactly do that. Then they described Ajamil's position. You know Ajamil? You're talking about 3 questions. We'll tell you about Ajamil. He was trained as a Brahmana, first-class Brahmana in his youth. But despite his training, because he was influenced, seeing a Shudra embracing a prostitute, he was captivated by lust. And then he gave up his wife. He employed this prostitute in his own home, gave up his wife, engaged in sinful activities, acquired all this money by sinful means, transgressed all Vedic rules and regulations, even though he had knowledge about what is right, what is wrong. And so therefore, we have come. They should be, now this Ajamil needs to be taken to Yamaraj for punishment and for his own purification. So this ends the chapter 1, the answers by Yamaduta, 56 to 68 verses. And here, if you see chapter 1, the first 3 chapters answer Maharaj Parikshit's question, how can one become free from the suffering, from the sinful activities committed in this and previous life? Then it talks about the process of atonement. Atonement means prayashchita, means paschatap. Tap means heat. Paschatap means following heat, meaning one has to be morose, one has to go as a beggar in the homes of the people he has offended. One has to atone for his sins every time. Think about, I will not do that again. I will not do that again. He has to perform vows and vratas and keep vratas. And based on the vow that he keeps, say, I will not eat food today. And then every time he gets the pang of the hunger, he should remember, I performed this sinful act. I will not do this again. And have remorse. And all these, there is paschatap, there is anutap, there are pranayam, there are so many different ways of atonement. But the Vishnu Dutas say the best atonement is chanting the holy names of the Lord. All these other kinds of atonement are temporary. They do not remove the tendency for sin. Just by being remorseful for some sinful activity in this life, we cannot actually remove the tendency to sin. But by being remorse about how we left Krishna and chanting his holy names in helpless surrender, more importantly, focusing ourselves on the mercy of the Lord, on being grateful, how the Lord is so merciful that even though I'm so sinful, he's keeping me in the association of his devotees. If we acknowledge this fact, I'm so offensive, still he is continuing to tolerate me. Oh Lord, I'm offensive, very sinful from lifetimes. Please help me. I'm only helplessly dependent upon you. And when we chant with this conviction and lamentation, then it invokes the Lord's desire to clean our hearts. And then our hearts are completely purified. That's the best atonement. None of this other atonement. Even it said if someone, in the Shastras it is said, if someone kills someone, then in order to save that person from going through hellish planets later, the death punishment is given. And as a result, that person will not go to the hellish planets later. But anyway, all of these things are there. But it says bhakti is the most important. And more important is later on understand that even though Ajamil chanted offenselessly, because he chanted helplessly, there are 3 stages. There is Namaparad stage of chanting the holy name. There is Namabhas and Shuddhanam. In Namaparad stage, we chant without knowing the 10 offenses. We are chanting, maybe someone is jokingly chanting, oh, these Hare Krishnas, they just simply dance and chant in the street. They may not have any respect, but they said Hare Krishnas. Even sometimes devotees would come to Srila Prabhupada that, look, in the newspaper, the media is talking about us. And they are talking about us in a bad way, in a bad light. We should respond. Srila Prabhupada said, count how many times Hare Krishna is written in that article. And the number of times Hare Krishna is written, it is successful. Why is it a successful article? Because so many people are reading the word Hare Krishna. Even though they are chanting in the Namaparad stage, it is making them qualified to start devotional service, to call out to Krishna. Srila Prabhupada was transcendentally situated. Of course, he also fought to defend the Hare Krishna movement, but he did not fight with fear. He fought with gratefulness. He fought that, Krishna, you're so great. You're even allowing them to chant your holy names. We will fight to defend your movement so that more and more people are given this opportunity. With this mood, he would fight. And then this is Namaparad. Then slowly, devotee comes to know that, oh, there are 10 offenses. I should try to avoid these 10 offenses to the holy names. And when a person is trying to chant while trying to avoid 10 offenses, even though he is not completely free from offenses, but they're trying, that's Nam Abhas stage. where you get a perception of the holy name, abhas. Just like it is explained that when someone chants with namabhas, that itself is qualified to completely remove the sins. It doesn't bring love of God, but it removes all the sins. And if someone continues in the Navabhas stage under proper guidance and in proper mood, slowly, steadily, they will get to Shuddha Nam. Shuddha Nam is attracts, when you chant Krishna, it attracts Radharani. When we chant Hare, Radhe, it attracts Krishna in that Shuddha Nam. That Shuddha Nam stage is what we are looking for. In that, we get pure love of God. Ajamil, he chanted in the Namabhas stage. He chanted helplessly. But he didn't know what the offenses are, and he was trying to get rid of offenses because he was helplessly chanting. And as a result, Vishnudutas came and saved him, but did not take him back home, back to Godhead, even though at the time of death, he chanted the name Narayan. He just got a second chance. And then later, we'll see how he took advantage of the second chance. So all of these things, it's talking about, don't worry about religious and irreligious principles, about Vedas and all that. Bhakti is above all of that. Then it comes to chapter 2, where it says that unless one always chants and attains the shelter of Krishna through devotional service, one will definitely fall victim to lust. That's why it is said, Kirtaniya Sadahari. Sometimes we say, well, by chanting one holy name, all sinful reactions go away. Yeah, but our purpose is not just to get rid of sinful reactions. Our purpose is Shuddhanam. So we must constantly chant Krishna's names and avoid bad association, because all sinful qualities are acquired through bad association. And so Shukadev Goswami starts describing that once Yamadutas answered Vishnuduta's 3 questions, Vishnudutas, they started criticizing, or they started speaking in critical words. They first accused Yamadutas for improper leadership. You think you are leaders? You are not leaders, because you're thinking religion to be in religion and irreligion to be religion. And because of that, you're punishing this Ajamila who has become sinless. As soon as he chanted Narayan's name, he became sinless. And you are taking him for punishment? If you are really leaders of the society, you should protect those who surrender to Krishna. You are duty bound to set proper example. And therefore, they again said there is no other method, even with Vedic atonement, ritualistic atonement, is not as effective as chanting the Lord's names for atonement of our sins. And Ajamil, because he loudly chanted, not just in mind, loudly he chanted Krishna's name as he was leaving his body, as he was dying, he had become free from all sins committed in this life and previous life. Because chanting Krishna's holy names not only removes the sins, it removes the tendency to commit the sins, just like a medicine which cures, like fire which burns to ashes all sinful reactions. So then Vishnudutas, they freed Ajamil from death, and they forced his release from the hands of Yamadutas, who then left to Yamaraj. They were confused. What just happened? We have never experienced anything like this. Yamaraj never told us what will happen. Now we'll go back to Yamaraj, and he's going to ask, where is Ajamila? What are we going to reply? We'll just tell the truth. It wasn't us. It was some effulgent, beautiful personalities. We'll ask him, who are they? So as the Yamadutas left, Ajamil, he was shocked. He was also listening to this conversation between Yamadutas and Vishnu Dutas. And he lamented for his sinful life. But he also praised his good fortune. That's how we should chant. We should lament about our decision to leave the spiritual world and go back in shame to Krishna. How can we come back and knock his door again? Therefore, we have our spiritual master taking his shelter of his mercy and understanding how Krishna is so kind. Kamva dayalum sharanam vrajema. Who is more kind than Krishna, who gave the position of nurse to someone who came to kill him with poison on her breast, Putana? So, aho bakiyam stalakalakutam jigam shrayapaya yadapyasadvi lebhe gatim dhatri uchitam tatonyam kam va dayalum sharanam vrajema. Even though we are lamenting for our act of disobedience to Krishna that we came to this material world, we should still focus on how great Krishna is while we are chanting the holy names. If we simply focus on, oh, I did something bad, I'm so fallen, and I'm this, that's just a platform to plunge ourselves into immersing ourselves into the glories of the kindness of Krishna. And then I'm just helplessly dependent on your mercy, Krishna. I don't deserve it, Krishna. I know I don't deserve it, but I know that you are friend of the fallen. Even though I don't deserve it, I'm helplessly begging you, just begging. Beggar does not deserve. Beggar does not demand. The beggar has to beg. Unless he begs, he won't receive. But if he receives, he should not think, I got because I begged. No, it is the mercy of the other person. And that's the position we are in when we are chanting Krishna's holy names. So Ajamil, understanding this mood, reveling into the kindness and mercy of Krishna, of Krishna's holy name, he decided to engage in pure devotional service. He went to Haridwar. He was in Kanyakubja, Kannauj, Uttar Pradesh, to another city in Uttar Pradesh, Haridwar. And there, because of his association with Vishnu Dutas, just a fleeting association of Vishnu Dutas, his consciousness was revived. And in Haridwar, he lived in a Vishnu temple. He controlled his mind. He applied it to pure devotional service and became completely absorbed in remembering and thinking of the Lord's form. And when his meditation became fixed, he again saw the Vishnu Dutas. And he gave up his body in Haridwar. He attained a spiritual body for an associate. And along with the Vishnu Dutas, he traveled in a golden airplane to the spiritual world. This is all described in verses 34 to 44. Ajamil, he was saved. He went back home, back to Godhead, because of Namabhas and then turning it into Shuddha Nam. Just by a glimpse of the pure chanting of the holy name can award ultimate benefit. But it was the greatest atonement. The topic that Maharaj Parikshit asked was not so much about love of God. It was about how do I atone for my sins without having to go for hellish planets. That even if once, Srila Prabhupada says, once someone chants the name of Krishna, human form of life is guaranteed. Even later, we will see how Yamaraj talks about the glories of the holy name and glories of associating with devotees. So here he said, Ajamil was then saved, and because his chanting was directed to his own sons. So in this way, whatever be the weight of our sin, the Mahamantra can protect us from all sinful reaction. And once we get the association of devotees, we should renounce the material concept of life and vow. Yes, atonement, the main thing is we vow we will not do this again and beg forgiveness. So we should just renounce that material concept, take prasadam, perform devotional service, and then go back home, back to Godhead. This brings us to chapter 3. The scene is set. Yamaraj instructs his messengers. Ajamil went back home, back to Godhead, but Yamadutas are still confused. What's going on? What happened? And they came to Yamaraj. So Parikshit Maharaj, he inquires from Shukadev Goswami, what is Yamaraj's reply when his servants reported to him? And Shukadev Goswami, he narrated the inquiries of the frustrated Yamadutas to Yamaraj, who inquired, who is the ultimate authority in avoiding sinful and pious activities? I thought it was you, but there were these beautiful personalities. They were taking name of Narayan. And Yamaraj was very happy. Thank you for asking this question. You never asked, so I never told. Now you are asking. I will tell you about my Lord. There is the principle of the Vedas, but then there is the real principle of religion, which is secret essence of the religion, which is given by 12 Mahajans. Those who follow the path of the 12 Mahajans, they are not affected by the Vedic regulations. Swayambhur Narada Shambhu Kumara Kapilo Manu Pralado Janako Bhishmo Balir Vaiyasakir Mayam Dvadashaite Vijanimo Dharmam Bhagavatam Bhata Guhyam Vishuddham Durbodham Yam Gyatva Ashnute. Lord Brahma, Bhagavan Narada, Lord Shiva, the four Kumaras, Lord Kapila, the son of Devahuti, Swayambhuva Manu, Prahlad Maharaj, Janak Maharaj, grandfather Bhishma, Bali Maharaj, Shukadev Goswami, and I myself, Yamaraj. We know the real religious principles. My dear servants, this is called as Bhagavad Dharma. There is Pancharatrika Vidhi, there is Bhagavat Vidhi, or Bhagavad Dharma, or surrender unto the Supreme Lord. It's very confidential, difficult for ordinary human beings to understand. But if by chance one fortunately understands it, he's immediately liberated. And thus he returns back home, back to Godhead. Etavan eva lokesmin pumsam dharma parasmrita bhakti yogo bhagavati tannama grahanadhivi. Devotional service beginning with the chanting of the holy name of the Lord is the ultimate religious principle for the living entity in human society. So Yamaraj continues to speak the true meaning of religion. What are real religious principles? They are those that are spoken by the Lord. No one else can ascertain him. And these 12 Mahajans, they can understand these principles of religion, which is known as Bhagavad Dharma. Then one can go back home, back to Godhead. The essence of Bhagavad Dharma is chanting the holy names of the Lord, which is what has saved Ajamil from this punishment. So then he talks about, he warned his servants, my dear servants, despite what you may have done previously to disturb the devotees, henceforward you should stop. The actions of the devotees who have surrendered unto the lotus feet of the Lord, and those who constantly chant the holy name of the Lord, they are even praised by the demigods. These devotees are so respectable and so exalted that Lord Vishnu personally protects them with the club of his hand. Therefore, be careful. Whatever you have done this time, forget about it. Henceforward, don't approach such devotees. Otherwise, you will be killed by the club of Lord Vishnu. This is my warning. Lord Vishnu has a club and he has a chakra to punish non-devotees. Don't risk punishment by attempting to disturb the devotees. Not to speak of you, even if Lord Brahma or I were to punish them personally, Lord Vishnu will punish us. So do not disturb the devotees any further. And in this way, this is a very beautiful verse in 6th Canto, 3rd chapter, verse 28, which is which really caught my attention. It said, Tanana yadvam asato vimukhan mukunda padarvindamakaranda rasadajasram Nishkinchanai paramahamsa kulairasangai Jushtad grihe niraya vartmani baddha trishna. Paramhamsas are exalted persons who have no taste for material enjoyment and who drink the honey of the Lord's lotus feet. My dear servants, bring to me for punishment only persons, one, who are averse to the taste of that honey, who do not associate with Paramhamsas, and who are attached to family life and worldly enjoyment, which form the path to hell. So, which means if we are not averse to the taste of that honey, it doesn't mean that we have to taste the honey. It doesn't mean we have to be Paramhamsas. He says who are not averse to getting the taste for that honey, who want to taste that honey. Just that desire itself will qualify us for Yamadutas not to come. Who do not associate with Paramhamsa, which means if we associate with Paramhamsas, Yamadutas will never come. Of course, we associate with Paramhamsa to actually follow their instructions. That is the meaning of association, not just be in front of them, but actually serve them and try to learn from them. And those who are attached to family life and worldly enjoyment. If we are attached to family life and making everyone Krishna conscious, that's good. But if we are just in forms of worldly enjoyment, yes, then we will be eligible to go with the Yamadutas. But here, Yamaraj is telling these three people, do not approach. And Shukadev Goswami then concludes by saying that chanting Hare Krishna mantra, chanting of the holy names, it uproots all the reactions of the sins. And Paramhamsa is one who tastes the nectar of the holy names. The Yamadutas, when they heard this, they were struck with wonder. They were amazed. And then they said, we fear the devotees and we will never look at them. Itam svabhatrir gaditam bhagavan mahitvam samsmritya vismita dhiyo yama kinkaraste naivachyutashraya janam pratishankamana drashtum cha bibhyati tata prabhriti smarajan. After hearing from the mouth of their master about the extraordinary glories of the Lord and his name, fame, and attributes, the Yamadutas were struck with wonder. Since then, as soon as they see a devotee, they fear him and dare not look at him again. So this is the description of the third chapter. The third chapter therefore ends here with the glories of the holy name. It is said we can, if we want to chant offenselessly, we should chant continuously. If we chant continuously, we can avoid the offenses. If we become accustomed to this practice, chant continuously and chant helplessly. If we can remember this, automatically we will be free from the offenses. Of course, we should try our best to get rid of offenses also. But if we just focus on, I should not offend this devotee, I should not do this, then guess what? We will end up offending that devotee. Because we are just thinking, not offend, not offend, not offend. And the mind only thinks offend, 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 and we end up offending. Instead, if we say glorify, instead of saying not offend, if we say glorify the devotee, we will never commit any offense. All right. So this brings us end of chapter 3. Chapter 4 is the Hamsa Guya prayers. Very important. This goes back to Canto 4, where the sons of Prachini Bharishat, the Prachetas, because this, in 6th canto, 4th chapter, Shukadev Goswami is answering the questions that Maharaj Parikshit raised in the 4th canto about secondary creation. There's the primary creation, then the secondary creation. So he said when the Prachetas were the sons of Prachini Barishad, who was told the story of Puranjana, his sons, Prachetas, they came from the water. And because they were performing tapasya there. And while they were performing tapasya, there was no king. And so the whole world was filled with trees and vegetation. When they came out from the water, they said, what is all this? They began destroying the trees and all of these things. Soma, the moon god, who gives taste into the vegetations, he came and he said, he pacified their anger. Just, you are the kings. You're supposed to protect everyone, not just human beings, even animals, even the trees. Please be merciful. Don't trees, rather just accept them. And why don't you start producing more and more human beings? And then automatically the balance will be restored instead of cutting down the trees. So marry Marisha, who is the daughter of the trees. And she was the daughter of Pramlocha Apsara. And said that this Pramlocha Apsara, she was nurtured by the trees. And therefore, this Marisa, who's the daughter of Pramlocha, was married to the Prachetas, all of them. And then from her came Daksha. Remember Daksha Prajapati, who was the son of Brahma in the previous life. And then he offended Lord Shiva. Because of his offense, he got the head of a goat. But in his next life, that same son of Brahma, who was automatically appeared, he had to appear through a woman, through a semen, and through the normal means that everyone appears. But he again was called Daksha. Daksha, he generated all the animals from his mind and from his semen. And when Daksha saw that he wasn't yet generating the population properly, because he was generating all of these, but he was not getting the quality that he deserved, that he wanted. So he said, I'll go to the Vindhya hills and he'll perform austerities there. Daksha, in his next life, he performed austerities in the Vindhya hills and he offered prayers to Lord Vishnu, which are called Hamsa Guhya prayers. And Daksha Prajapati, he prayed to Lord Hari to seek his pleasure. You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You are fully transcendental. You are source of everything. Those who are advanced in consciousness, they can perceive you within their hearts, despite the heart having material coverings. Yet they achieve liberation only when the Lord is pleased. You are beyond all matter. You are the ultimate doer. You are the cause of all causes, cause of the forgetfulness, everything. The personalists and impersonalists all worship you despite their contradictory statements. All contradictions are resolved in the personality of Godhead, Supreme Personality of Godhead. You are especially merciful to your devotees, and therefore you manifest your forms, names, pastimes. And in this way, Daksha Prajapati, he prayed, please, my dear Lord, please fulfill my desires. I just want to be your instrument in flooding this earth with humanity. Lord Hari was pleased with Daksha, and he appeared fully decorated upon his Garuda. And he spoke, he first glorified the process of austerity mixed with devotion and described, I am the source of all creation. He then related how previously he had advised Brahma how to successfully create. He said, I will tell you the same thing. And he said, you marry Asikini, the daughter of Panchajana Prajapati, and then create further population. And then you would be able to make presentations for the pleasure of the Lord. And then after having spoken to Daksha Prajapati, he disappeared. So these Hamsa Guhya prayers are prayers which pleased the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, we should chant these prayers. They are tried and tested. The previous acharyas have spoken it. Daksha has spoken it. He has pleased the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this ends the chapter 4, Hamsa Guhya prayers. So we'll end here today and we'll continue tomorrow from chapter 5 onwards, the further descendants of Daksha. All right. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. If there are any questions or comments, we can take now. We can also discuss about the quiz questions that we have for today, which are, wow, there are about 14 questions. First, what is Kunjara Shauchavat? Second, what is the true method of atonement? Third, why did the Vishnu Dutas appear to stop the Yamadutas? Fourth, how many questions were asked by Vishnu Dutas to the Yamadutas? What are some of the temporary ways of atonement? Seventh, why are they called temporary ways of atonement? Eighth, what invokes the Lord's desire to give his mercy to us? Ninth, what are the three stages of chanting of the holy names? 10th, what was the stage in which Ajamil chanted? 12th, what is the essence of the Bhagavad Dharma? 11th, why did Ajamil receive a second chance? 13th, who offered the Hamsa Guhya prayers? 14th, who is the daughter of Panchajana Prajapati? So these questions will be given in the YouTube and the Facebook comments. Please reply there. There are several questions. Okay. Yeah, it's all jumbled up in all these comments. I don't know when was the first question asked, but the first one that I can identify here is in work life, out of competition, we are pushed to play political tricks that hurts others, creating sins. How can one get rid of sins arising out of such mandatory situation without losing jobs? Well, this is asked by Shiva Kumar Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. If you see, just like Arjuna is our best example. He was a king. He had to play politics every time, but he was always dedicated to the service of the Lord. If we have to do what we have to do, but we have to make sure that what we are doing, the purpose of our job, is it out of greed? Is it out of pride? Is it out of revenge? Or is it out of love? What is the purpose? Anything we do in this material world is going to be tainted with sins. We cannot do anything about it. Even if you walk, you're tainted by sins. You cook, you kill living entities. So we cannot be sinless unless the purpose for which we are doing the job is directed to Krishna consciousness. If we make our family Krishna conscious, then just maintaining the family, we are offering bhoga to Krishna, then whatever we are doing in the job, as long as it is not grossly sinful, and we have to do all these things, we do it, but make sure that the purpose for which we are doing is to satisfy the Lord. That's the purpose of our keeping the job. But in the job itself, if say someone is working in a slaughterhouse, then that he should give up immediately. That is not a way to sustain oneself. That you can't call it mandatory. Look for another job. But yes, in order to, the mind games that go on and things like that, we try to be as kind as possible, but at the same time smart. So it's very subjective. Another is, the Lord is very merciful. Why did the Lord not advise us with consequences of leaving spiritual world? Now we are clueless as in which lifetime we will return back. That's a nice question. The Lord did not advise us about the consequences. He always advises us. He always told us. We said we want to be the enjoyer. And Krishna said, well, I respect your desire, but you know what? You will gain happiness only when you enjoy with me. That's your constitutional position. No, I want to enjoy separately, independently. Why you have to be the enjoyer? Okay, if you don't want to have loving reciprocation with me, fine. I will give you a place where I have to put you in an illusion that you are enjoying, because you really cannot enjoy unless you enjoy with me. That's how you're made. But you want to, I don't want to force you to love me, but if you really want to, I'll put you in this illusion, in this Disneyland where you can go and enjoy, but I will be there with you. Whenever you sincerely want to return back, I will make arrangements for you to take to a proper association where you can then learn about me and come back. And he keeps coming in Bhagavad Gita and tells us. Next question. I hope that answers your question, Prabhu. Keshavi Mataji, you mentioned that we need to avoid bad association. Does that mean we need to avoid association of people who are not inclined to devotional service? Please explain what bad association really means. Yeah, in one sense, association, there is two things of association. You give association and we take association. Those taking association, we should always take association of saintly people and avoid taking association of sinful people, of people who are not devotees. But those who are not devotees, we still associate with them by giving them our association. Taking association is different than giving association. We are in a different mood. When we are giving association, we are careful not to take from them, but try to give whatever we have learned and we have got from our seniors. We are giving it to them. Tell them about good things and stuff like that. But association can be, what kind of books we read, what kind of websites we go to, what kind of people we live with, what kind of friends we have, what kind of movies we see. All of this forms association. It's not just who you physically associate with. Real association is in the mind. So be careful of that. We should not avoid non-devotees, but we should give our association to them and take association of devotees. Okay, 2 more questions from Shiva Kumar Prabhu. In today's context, greed is all over and pushing one to perform direct or indirect sins for saving position power. How can chanting help to protect material position as well that is needed here? Well, first thing is, yes, we cannot avoid some of these mind games, but we should be careful that we don't use chanting the holy names to protect something material. We should understand, as long as we are chanting 16 rounds, following the regulative principles, serving Srila Prabhupada and his devotees, preaching on behalf of Srila Prabhupada, Krishna is going to take care of us. And if this is what Krishna is sending, this is what I need to make spiritual advancement. Sometimes Krishna may make us lose some things and that we are so attached to. But he is not, when he takes something, he's not taking something away from us. He's telling, this is not who you are. You are meant to do something else. So just have faith. We don't like change, but we should not be averse to change. As devotees, we should not be averse to change. We should embrace change and accept change. And so we should not force Krishna, keep my job, keep my job, keep my job. Maybe there's a better job waiting that Krishna knows we don't know about. Maybe in that other job will be much more conducive to our spiritual life. So we should try our best to do our best in our current position. And whenever we work, before we start our work, we should pray to Krishna. Krishna, I'm starting my work. I want to offer the results of my work to you. Therefore, in my consciousness, I will do my best so that I can offer the best result to you. Rest is now up to you. Guide me how I should deal with the one-on-one situations. If only you know what I should do, what I should not do. Every day, if we start our work and end our work, and in the middle of the work, we keep praying to Krishna that I want to offer my best. Then we are doing the best work, best than the others who are doing. They are doing so that they can get some benefit or glory or pride. We are doing so Krishna can get benefit. In our minds, we are offering to Krishna. Everyone will say, oh, Krishna's devotee is so nice. Okay. Next question. Yamadutas pull one out of the body. Is there any possibility of remembering Krishna at all? As the physical pain of leaving body added to mental pain likely takes over extreme high priority. That is correct. That is the ultimate exam. The final exam is death, when we are taken out of the body. But guess what? During the life, if we are trying to surrender to Krishna, Krishna will give pop quizzes in between, which will prepare us for the final examination. And like sometimes some disease may come, sometimes some very challenging situation may come. These are pop quizzes and half yearly examinations and things like that, so that we can be prepared for that final exam. If we can, during these pop quizzes and the mid-year examinations, if we are always able to remember Krishna when we are going through the challenges of life, then the ultimate challenge of life, we will be prepared to remember Krishna. If we say, oh, today I'm not feeling well, so I will not chant. No, if you're not feeling well, that is an opportunity. We should chant more, because this is a pop quiz. If we can't chant when we are not feeling a little bit well, how can we chant at the time of death? This is an opportunity for preparing for the time of death. Unless we prepare, we will not be able to do it. But if we prepare, then any other pain, Krishna will help us. Srila Prabhupada said, Lord Chaitanya will come in your mind and dance like madman, so that all this pain, the highest priority will not be the pain, the priority will be Lord Chaitanya dancing in our minds. But we have to beg and pray throughout our life for that. One more question from Shiva Kumar Prabhu. If when one reaches Yamaloka and meets Yamaraj, who is one of the Mahajan and pure devotee of the Lord, why such Yamaraj association not helping in liberation? Why Yamaraj not helping without cruel punishing? Because sometimes pain is a better lesson. Sometimes with pain, we get better lesson. And even out of love, our parents have to maybe punish us sometimes. They don't like it. But Yamaraj is willing to give his association. Are we willing to take it? Those sinful souls who go to Yamaloka, to Yamaraj, are they in a mood to take the spiritual association of Yamaraj, or are they being defensive? Oh, why are you? I didn't do any sins. Why are you giving me all these sinful reactions? Why are you being cruel to me? If there is a soul who says, yes, I committed these sinful reactions, sinful activities, and I want to tell me about Krishna. Can you please tell me about Krishna? If any soul tells that, Yamaraj will be more than eager. All right, take him out of the line. I want to discuss Srimad Bhagavatam with him. But he wants to give the association. Even to Yamadutas, he did not say who is the supreme, because they were not in a position to hear. But as soon as they became ready to eagerly hear about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he told them all the religious principles. So it is not about just someone willing to give association. It's also about are we willing to take it? That's very important. All right. Are there any questions or comments? Okay, Sudesh Prabhu. Thanks, Prabhuji. Can we break 16 rounds into 8, 4, 4, etc., as I cannot finish 16 rounds in the morning? Yes, as long as throughout the day we are able to complete 16 rounds, that's good. Srila Prabhupada gives example of his father, Gaur Mohan De. He said, my father used to be a merchant. He had a cloth shop, and he would chant before breakfast, before lunch, before dinner, and before going to sleep. 4 rounds. He would say, okay, it's time for breakfast. He tied his chanting of 4 rounds to his food. We will eat food. So he said, okay, I will not have breakfast unless I chant 4 rounds. Then he would say, I will not have lunch unless I chant another 4 rounds. I will not have dinner unless I chant another 4 rounds. And I will not sleep before I chant another 4 rounds. So that way he broke 16 rounds. But yeah, depending on our situation, we can do that. Next, from Madhu Bhashini Mataji, what is the meaning of Hamsa Guhya? Hamsa means swan, and Guhya means very, 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 very secret, very, very secret prayers. These are called secret prayers because these have the potency to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hamsa Guhya, just like swan. Swan is, which Paramhamsa is, swan has the ability to extract milk from milk and water combination. So it can extract the essence of spiritual life from this material world. That these prayers extract the essence of spirituality within matter, within material world. That's why they're like Hamsa Guhya, very, very confidential prayers, because they please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All right. Prajvani Mataji, does Yamraj also have birth and death? Yes, he also has tenure. His, like Vidura, Yamaraj was Vidura. So he also has his tenure. He's also one of the Devatas, but he's a pure devotee of the Lord. He's one of the Mahajans in this particular Manmantra. Prajvani Mataji, what should we think of other religions? Are they true or not? Like you've explained, there are many universes. I mean, can they have been this incarnation in other universes? Yeah, other religions are also, we respect other religions as well. And all religions say the same thing. All religions glorify chanting the Supreme Personality of Godhead, glorify the chanting of the holy names. In Christianity, they have the rosary beads. In Islam, they take the name of Allah. In Jewish tradition, they take the name of Jehovah, and like that. So there is name of chanting of the name of God. Kingdom of God is also there. There is so many similarities which are there between the religions. However, the other religions are like pocket dictionaries. You will find main concepts, main words there. But if you want detailed words about like supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, that you will find in the big Random House dictionary, which has all the detailed words in, words like come, go, how, where. All these are found in all the dictionaries. But the detailed explanation is found in the big Random House dictionary. That is like the Vedas. It has all details of the explanation. The other ones, because it was given to audiences who were not really ready for the full blast of their religion. Like Jesus said, I have so many things to tell you, but I cannot. Even in Quran, it is said the same thing. But in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, I have told you everything that is there to be known. Because Arjuna was eager, and at that level, qualified to be that level, to get that kind of knowledge. So yes, we respect all religions, but we understand that the Vedas have much more detailed understanding of the same concepts. Okay. From Facebook, Shamala Gopika Mataji, when we chant holy name once, human form of life is guaranteed. But is it not depend on the mind thought at the time of death? If a person thought about pet dog or like Jar Bharat, then that person becomes the same. So how can we understand these 2 points, as it looks a little contradiction? Yes, that is correct. But yes, whatever we think at the time of death, that is what we achieve. If we think of Krishna, we'll go back to Godhead. But Prabhupada says that there is this verse in the 2nd chapter where it talks about that if one simply performs little bit of devotional service, trayate mahato bhayat, nehabhikrama nashosti, pratyavayo na vidyate, swalpam api asya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. In that purport, Prabhupada says, trayato mahato bhayat means the greatest fear. It removes the greatest fear. Little bit of devotional service, swalpam api asya dharmasya. It gives up, it relieves the greatest fear. That greatest fear is to go into the animal form of life. So if one performs little devotional service, he goes to the animal form of life. But Jada Bharat, that is, he got the body of a deer, but he was not an ordinary deer. He was not an animal deer. He was actually a human deer. He had the consciousness. He remembered his past lives. It was just the body, not the consciousness of the deer. Similarly, we will have, if we chant the holy name. Now he was at the stage of bhava, but if we chant the holy names by mercy of Srila Prabhupada, by the mercy of the devotees, that's why one thing Jada Bharat didn't have is Maharaj Bharat was the association of devotees. He was just doing it himself, alone. And Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur has said so much against performing devotional service alone, because it gives pride and things like that. But if we chant the holy names in the association of devotees, Prabhupada says a human form of life is guaranteed. And the scriptures also say the same thing. All right. I hope that answers your questions. Thank you for your questions. If there are any more, we can take now, or if not, we can end today. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.